Shalom, this is Todd Bennett, and I'm coming to you from Shema Yisrael Tours and Yisrael Connection in Boquete, Panama. I'm excited to announce our Passover 2017 tour. We had such a great experience with the Shavuot 2016 tour that we decided we're going to do it all over again. And this time we're going to do it at the beginning of the grain harvest instead of the end of the grain harvest. Now, Passover is the first feast in the cycle of the appointed times throughout the year. And I know this has been a kind of a tough year for people to figure out the calendar issues. So one of the strong things we're going to emphasize is how we keep the Creator's calendar and how we properly keep the appointed times. There's all sorts of calendars out there, confusing teaching, and so we're going to deal with that significantly at the beginning of the tour so everybody understands why we're on the right calendar and why we're celebrating when we're celebrating. Now, our tour, I've got the itinerary hot off the presses here. I just got back from Israel for Sukkot, and I was able to refine the itinerary a little bit and just tweak it and maybe add some things. And this is still a tentative itinerary because we're probably going to continue to add as time goes along. Anybody that's been on my other tour would realize that I take every opportunity to maximize the experience for people. So if we can throw something in or add something along the way, we will definitely do it. But right now, we've got everybody leaving their destinations on April 4th, 2017. So whether you're from the US or the UK or Australia, you're going to be leaving, and we're all going to be converging in the Tel Aviv area around the airport on April 5th. So people are going to be coming in at different times. So we have a really nice hotel there. Everybody will come in when they arrive, get rested up, meet one another, and we'll have an introduction meeting and a review of the tour that evening, the evening of April 5th. And then the tour really gets started on April 6th. We're going to get up early. That's Thursday. We're going to get up early, get on the road. First place we're going to go is Neot Kedumim. Now, this is a really interesting place because they emphasize the agriculture of Israel. And of course, the appointed times are centered around the agriculture. And when we look at Passover, we're especially looking at the beginning of the barley harvest. Now, we're not using the barley harvest to determine the beginning of the year. That's a tradition that some people teach and follow. But the crops will always synchronize with the proper calendar. So we're going to be looking for Aviv barley during the month of the Aviv, because that would be the time when the offering would be made during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It doesn't have to be in any quantities prior to the new moon, the beginning of month 1. We're just going to have Aviv barley during the month of the Aviv. So we're going to go to Neot Kedumim, and they're going to show us how the ancients harvested the grains, and we'll go to a threshing floor and we'll look at the threshing process and really get a hands-on experience as to what we would be doing if we lived in the land during this period of time. From there, we're going to go to Ashkelon and then see the Philistine ruins there, get a little taste of the Mediterranean. It's a beautiful area, beautiful park, archaeological park. We'll then move on to Tel Markish, where we get to do an excavation. Everybody's going to have hands-on on an active archaeological dig. It's a really fun time, and we're going to actually find things and participate in the dig and go exploring underground in some caves that they've got there. Onward to Beersheba, where we're going to see this ancient site of wells, and we're even going to see an ancient well there. And then we're going to go eat and sleep in a Bedouin camp, and we're going to take some camel rides in the desert just to get us a little taste of the desert experience. That's all our first real day of the tour. It's going to be packed full of fun and excitement and teaching along the way too, obviously. Next day is a Friday. We're going to wake up. We're going to go down to Tel Arad, and I'm hoping possibly we can squeeze in Kadesh Barnea while we're there. It's not an easy place to get to. You have to do some four-wheeling and it's a little out of the way, but it's also a really neat place. So we're going to see about going to Kadesh Barnea that day, Tel Arad, Masada. We'll go around to the Dead Sea region. We'll be at Sodom. We're going to go dig for some brimstone while we're there. And then we'll end up at En Gedi. We'll take a hike to the famous spring that we read about in the scriptures where David and his men were refreshed while in the wilderness. And then we'll spend the night at the Dead Sea. Next day is Shabbat. So that'll be a nice relaxing day at the Dead Sea. We can just go down and float in the Dead Sea if you want. We'll be doing our Torah studies, sharing, worship. Just be a nice day of rest. We'll regroup a little bit after a couple busy days on the tour. After Shabbat, we will then get up early the next day, Sunday, April 9th, and we're going to go to the site of the Jordan River crossing, the place where Israel crossed the Jordan, the place where John the Immerser immersed our Messiah, Yeshua. And anybody will have an opportunity to immerse at that point if they want to. And then, because we're on this covenant journey, we're pilgrims in the land, we're going to proceed over to Gilgal, the first place where Israel encamped when they came into the Promised Land. Now, Gilgal is really significant because that's also the place where Yeshua, circumcised all of the male Israelites who'd come out of the wilderness. And the reason he had to do it there was because they were going to celebrate the first Passover at Gilgal also. And we know the commandments are that you have to be circumcised in order to partake in the Passover meal. So we're going to see that site, and it's very, very interesting because it's actually set up in the shape of a sandal. And we see through different archaeological sites in Israel that the Israelites took the promise seriously. Where the sole of their feet landed, that would be their land, and they claimed it by chiseling their footprints in different stones. And in this case, Gilgal, the first meeting place in the land, they actually set it up in the shape of a sandal. So it's really, really an interesting site. From there, Gilgal Argaman, we're going to go to Jericho. We're going to see the archaeological sites in Jericho where the walls came down. So we're kind of trying to follow a little bit of the path that Israel took when they entered the Promised Land. If we have time, we'll go to Elisha Spring on our way up to Jerusalem, and we will arrive at Mount Scopus where we have a beautiful view of Jerusalem, and we'll spend a little time there getting the lay of the land, so to speak. We'll show you the different locations around Jerusalem that we'll be seeing, and it's really just a nice place to get a good view of Jerusalem and the old city. We'll then go and spend a night in Jerusalem. We're going to be staying in a really nice hotel right in the center of things in the Ben Yehuda area. So you'll be able to walk at night, walk around, explore, shop, do a lot of things. We're at a really good location, real nice setup. April 10th is a Monday. We're going to get up and go into Samaria. There we'll see Bethel, Shiloh, we'll go to Mount Gerizim. And this is going to be a really unique experience if it all plays out, because the Samaritans actually maintain an ancient culture and many of the ancient traditions. Even though we don't agree with the Samaritans and on all their doctrine, they're very interesting to go and visit. They keep the Paleo-Hebrew script alive. They have actually Torah scrolls with the Paleo-Hebrew script. And when it comes to the Passover, they really do what we probably can imagine is an authentic slaughtering of the lambs there. So if we can make all this work out, we're going to be there. We're going to witness them as they slaughter their lambs and prepare for their Passover, which is a day different than our Passover is. So that will be a really unique experience. Anybody that's doesn't like the sight of blood or does want to participate, it certainly doesn't have to, but I would encourage you. It's a great learning experience, and again, we try to experience the way the ancients performed these things, and this is probably as close as we're going to get for the time being. We'll then go back to Jerusalem, spend the night, wake up on Tuesday, day 8 of the tour. We're going to spend all the day in Jerusalem, and we're going to see all sorts of sites. We'll probably go to the Temple Mount, the Pool of Bethesda, Zedekiah's Cave, and we'll cut the day kind of short because we're going to prepare for our own Passover Seder. So we'll get back to the hotel at a reasonable hour, get washed up, get cleaned up, and get ready for a really great Seder that evening. So now we are Passover Day, the following day, April 12th, which is Wednesday the 9th. Now Passover Day, it's not a high Sabbath, so we're able to go around and do some things. And what we're going to do is contemplate what Yeshua the Messiah was doing at this time, because we are really blessed because this year Passover synchronizes exactly with what some call the Passion Week, when our Messiah was crucified. So we have the Passover and the first day of unleavened bread and all that occurring on the same day pattern as when Messiah was crucified and resurrected. So while we're in Jerusalem, we're going to utilize that time to actually go through the chronology of events of Yeshua's last week. And so that's what we'll be doing on Wednesday as we see certain sites around the city of David, the Ophel Gardens, and maybe even the Israel Museum, which is a really incredible museum full of artifacts. Okay, so then that'll lead up to our high Sabbath, and we will have some great worship with Selah music. James Block is going to join us, and he might even be on part of the Torah with us. We'll have some great fellowship, and James really does some anointed worship music. It's all recorded in Jerusalem, and I have to tell you, it's just we have phenomenal worship in Jerusalem, and then with James leading worship, it's just going to be terrific. You're really going to enjoy it and be blessed, I'm sure.
For you are my strength. I will
So the following day, Thursday, April 13th, that is the first day of unleavened bread. It's a high Sabbath, so we will be treating that as a Sabbath, and we'll use that time for study and fellowship, and of course sometimes we go over to Independence Park and meet and fellowship and just have a really nice, relaxing Shabbat. The next day, April 14th, is a Friday, and that's day 2 of unleavened bread. We're going to take a day trip to Caesarea and Megiddo, and since it is a leading up to a Shabbat, we'll get back again early, and so we can celebrate our weekly Sabbath. And again, we will do all sorts of things that are permissible on the Sabbath. We'll probably walk over to the Garden Tomb where Yeshua was resurrected, or some believe he was resurrected, and it's just a great spot to actually contemplate the events that happened on Resurrection Day when Yeshua was resurrected on that Sabbath. And again, we'll be going through the day count, and we'll be talking about things that happened on certain days, and we'll get the Gospels and a proper chronology so everybody understands exactly how that played out. Then we've got April 16th. It's a Sunday. That's day 13 of the Torah, and it's day 4 of unleavened bread. That's when some people may decide to return home. We would rather you stayed for the whole feast. Of course, that's the goal of Shema Yisrael tours, is we want to get people over to the land at these appointed times. So many tours go in other times, low season, when things are cheaper. Obviously things are more expensive during the high season. This coming Passover, all the calendars are going to synchronize, so there's going to be a lot of people there. It's going to be very exciting. It is a little more costly, but that's no reason for us not to be there at the times we're commanded to be there. So, while other tours often go outside the feast dates to save money, we want you there for the feast, because we want you to meet with the Creator when He commands us to meet with Him. And of course, these are rehearsals. We don't have a temple, but it still does not negate the fact that He establishes these times at this particular place, Jerusalem, and there are blessings to be had. I can say that from experience. Actually, this is going to be my 40th trip, Yah willing, during Passover, and I can tell you that from going to Jerusalem at these appointed times, it's been a real blessing. There's going to be revelation, there's going to be anointing. It's just going to be a powerful time. So we encourage people to stay on. If you have to get back to your home, you can do so. But from April 17th through April 19th, we still have the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Wednesday, April 19th is a high day. It's the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And after that, people can then also choose to stay on longer or depart after the feast is completed. So there's lots to do. That's just a real cursory overview of what's going to go on in the Passover tour. We really would love to see you there. We had a great group for Shavuot. We're looking forward to a real nice mix of people from all over the world, and I can guarantee you this will change your life. So we want to see you there. If you need any more information, go to our website, www.shemayisraeltours.com. Contact us. We have a highlight video of our last tour so you can get a little flavor of the things we do. It's not your normal tour. We're not going to go to all the traditional sites that a lot of tourists go to. We're going to really hike all over and get our hands into the dirt and really connect with the land. And so you're going to have a great time. We hope you can join us. If you have any more information or you need any more information, go to our website, call us, email us, and we hope to see you there in Jerusalem. Shalom.